Yeah, so hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, welcome, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to get updated when there are new videos. Okay, so please bear with my English. Sometimes I tend to go astray. Shame on you. Anyways, so I'm here today to talk about certain things that I wish and I was praying that would never happen to me when I was in high school. So I did half of my high school in Dominica and half of my high school in France. So I'm going to be mixing up a little. Okay, so growing up, you know, I was a very reserved child. I wasn't shy, but I was reserved. I was keeping to myself. I like to stay by myself most of the time, and let's just say sometimes I just didn't want so much. I was a little reserved. I just didn't like to curse. I would tell people stop cursing, they will go to hell, God is watching them. But I had my little character as well, don't get me wrong, okay? But I was reserved and I did not want people to stare at me too much, okay? Especially when I'm not ready for them to stare at me. So I'm going to tell you certain things that I was always going in through my head every morning when I wake up to school, okay? So first of all, I went to Portsmouth Secondary School. In Dominica, we wear uniforms, and sometimes our skirts used to have issues, okay? Sometimes the zip of our skirt used to just break. It just wasn't working again. And sometimes you never know, you'll be walking and your zip of your skirt just break, and people can be staring at you. And some people, you know how kids used to be, sometimes kids can be very mean between them. So if they see your skirt, your zip break, I think there's maybe 1% of people, your friends or children around you, who would tell you that your skirt zip break without laughing at you, okay? I always used to be checking my skirt. Sometimes I passing my hands on my skirt or my zip to see if it's not broken, because it happened to me already, and I had to turn the skirt in front, the back in front, and cover it up with my t-shirt, my uniform shirt. That same skirt issue. So you know when girls get the monthly headache, you know what I'm talking about? Well, sometimes our skirt gets stained, and I always used to be watching my skirt in school, because you know, when you're young, we don't know everything about period and this thing. So sometimes it comes and we don't even know, you know. Sometimes we'll be standing up in assembly in the morning. Sometimes before we go to class, we'll stand up and pray, or sometimes the teachers will call you to maybe pray or say something, you know, or whether it's outside or whether it's in the classroom. And I was hoping and praying that nobody would call me to get in front of all these people. I wasn't shy, but I just don't like doing things when my mind is not ready for it. So don't just put me out there without my mind's not prepared for that. So when I get surprised, sometimes I do like surprises, but not this type of surprises. So don't just call me up there just to pray and say certain things when my mind wasn't programming. What the hell? Yeah, so I hated it. I just didn't want people to call me up in front classes, even during lesson time. One of the things that I always didn't want to happen again is every time I enter a new class, I always try to take a seat in the back. After the teachers, sometimes they position you, they change your spots, but I always have finger crosses. I always wanted to be either on the side or at the back, okay? And there was some subjects I wasn't too good at. maths, for example. Go in primary school, you're thinking like maths is the best, and then when you reach high school, more you grow, you're like, oh, I don't understand, and I don't like maths. Okay, so one of the subjects that I loved, which wasn't bothering me to be in front at all. When there is a subject that I love, you can put me in front in the class, okay? I don't mind. So one of the subjects is French, English, literature. Yeah, okay. I wasn't too strong at social studies, but there was certain things like drawing the maps and certain things that I liked to do. Arts and craft. So yeah, so things like that. Put me in front, I don't mind. But when it comes to maths, etc., keep me at the back. Don't bother me. I don't want to go in front. So I just didn't want teachers to call me up front to give the answers. Obviously, if I knew the answers or if I wanted to speak, I'd raise my hand. But after the teachers decides, okay? Another thing that I just didn't want to happen to me going to school. As I said, I was a very reserved, not shy. Be careful, don't get reserved and shy mixed up, okay? I was a reserved, keeping to myself type of person, like to laugh, like to smile, and I just didn't want to. Doesn't mean I'm afraid of you, don't come and get me, okay? But I just didn't want to get into any problem with anybody. After, doesn't mean that if you tell me something, I won't tell you to take a back seat, okay? So I just didn't want to get into any fights. I didn't want it at all. For me, when I was growing up, my image counted a lot. What teachers would be writing in the notebook, in the report book, that was very important for me. Reaching on time was very important for me. So that was one thing. Reaching on time. Reaching late, I didn't want to reach late. Reaching on time and getting into fights. So yes, so stop shaking. As I was saying, I was trying my best not to get into fights with anybody. Although there was time where people used to come and make up lies or come at me with stories or whatever. But I kind of ignored them. So I haven't gotten into any fights in high school in Dominica, but in France, when I came to France, there was this one time I think it was not too far when I just came to France. I was in high school and I made this Italian friend. I came before her and then she came after, and we connected as friendship wise very well. And there was these other two sisters who were there, and she was also speaking Italian, okay? And then they became friend as well, but afterwards, you know. And her little sister, not the Italian friend that I made, okay? There was this Italian friends and there was this Roman sisters, okay? So, and these Roman sisters, they could also speak Italian. So the Italian friend that I made afterwards became friend with the Roman older sister, because they're speaking Italian. Okay, that's how it literally works here. So her little sister, the Roman little sister, there's two sisters, remember, and there's older Roman sister and there's a younger Roman sister. The younger Roman sister used to speak to a lot of people around. She didn't really have much friends, so she was all around speaking to each and everybody, and she used to speak to me now and then, tell me hi and stuff. So one day, she wasn't really my friend, but I was just being polite. So one day, her older sister came to me and was asking me and telling me what she wasn't asking. She was accusing me of saying something or telling her sister something. And she can like, what is wrong with this? I'd never got into fights in Dominica. You think I'm going to get into fights here for you, but who do you think you are? Remember, my image was very important to me. So this girl come to me and ask me a question. Not asking me, accusing me of stuff. She could like, and I'm asking her what is she talking about? And how did I say this? She kept coming after me, and I wasn't taking her on. And when school finished, I can't remember what she said that I said about her sister, but honestly, I think she maybe confused me with another black person. It's their habit to confuse people. Anyways, when school finished, she followed me and she grabbed my hair or some kind of thing like that. So I give her a lash. I'm not bragging or anything, but I know I had the chance to give her back her lash. I give her a chance to give her back a slap or something and pull back her hair. It didn't last too long before people come and separate, because it was right in front of the school. I'm checking like, what is wrong with this girl coming and get into issue with me right in front of school, knowing how I feel about my image, and there was teachers right there. So it didn't last too long before people could come, and I had braids in my hair that time, and she pulled out one of my braids. Chicken, what is wrong with that bitch? Sorry. So yeah, and then the teacher came and asked us for explanation, and they knew that I don't have any profile of fighting person or anything like that. They knew I was a very reserved person, so I didn't get into problem. I didn't get to any issue. The teacher not followed, but she felt safer bringing me to the bus stop. I felt not safer, but I know I would have, not because I avoiding fight, that I don't know how to fight. Be careful, okay? Be careful of that. So the teacher brought me to the bus stop to avoid any confusion. I can't remember what they did to her, but I didn't get into any problem, that's for sure. They told her to leave me alone or whatever. So yeah, that's the very first time I got into a fight in high school. Let's be clear. And yeah, so that's one of the things that I always wished would never happen to me, get into fight, because my profile, my image was important. Yeah, and as I was saying, reaching school on time was another thing that is important to me, because here, when you reach in time, you have like a little point, a little bonus on your report book, saying that like you have a little point on 20, punctual, for being punctual. So that was very important for me. I'm not sure if they did it in Dominica as well. I didn't really take note. Yeah, so that's one thing. I didn't want people to, even if I had a little boyfriend, I didn't want people to see me with anybody, because I don't know, you know when you know. So I was avoiding people to see me, although I wasn't into this type of things as yet, but I had little people who I was calling my little boyfriend. What's wrong with that? I'm grown now, so I just don't want people to have my name untidy. That's one of the things that I just didn't like. Okay, so going high school can be a very stressful thing for young people. People always staring at you, and people are always being judgmental, and can get very frustrated. So one of the things here in high school, so if you know, here it snows. Wintertime, there's wintertime here in France, everybody know that. And when it snows, I used to wear a lot of boots, long boots when I used to steal a lot of my sister's boots. Not steal, but lend one. You understand? Yeah, so I used to have a lot of boots. Well, I used to wear a lot of boots, and some of them used to slide. Okay, on some of them, the sole of the underneath was a little slidey. So whenever I came out from class, I used to walk very carefully. Where I used to stay, we used to snow a lot, and sometimes it could be very slidey. So whenever I walk, I always had the fright of falling down in front of everybody, because let me tell you, they would laugh. Friends or no friends laughing you, your best friend laughing you, your side friend, your friend from benefits, everybody laughing. Okay, so I try avoiding falling. Thanks God, I maybe think I fell, but I can't, not in front of people coming out from school, okay? So that's one of the things that I didn't want to happen to me, falling down in front of everybody. Yes, and even when we used to play if making snowballs, because sometimes we, after school, quickly to session, or even if we have an hour, a teacher who was absent, we used to stay in front of the school and play with snowballs. And even at that time, I used to be very careful for not to slide and fall. Eating in canteen when I was in high school, I just didn't want to eat in canteen, because one of the main reasons is because even in Dominica, I just dislike people watching me eat. That was before, okay? Now, if I'm hungry, well, it still happens. I still get the feeling now and then at that age. But before, I didn't want to eat in canteen because I just didn't want people to be staring at me eating, okay? And I don't eat like a pig, but I just didn't want people to stare at me. It makes me feel uncomfortable. Stop staring at me. What are you staring at me for? Last thing, well, there's maybe more, but I just can't remember. One last thing is that here in France, you know, I have an accent. Well, it was there. My accent was more present before when I just arrived, and the thing is that I just didn't want to talk much. I didn't want to talk much because I wasn't speaking the language properly. And you know, the R in French is and in English is r. And certain times I just keep to my English R without making no effort. And sometimes the teacher will want you to answer a question. I'm like, in my head, please, the same concept of Dominica, but it's just a different reason. It's because I didn't want to speak up, and I didn't want to make fault, okay? That's the main thing. I didn't want to make fault in French. Especially, and sometimes, especially in English class, students used to ask me a lot, what's the answer? What's the answer? And when they would test, when they had tests, another thing that I was afraid of happening in high school is getting punished for letting children watch, getting punished for letting children watch my responses in English. My main thing was English, here in France especially. So sometimes children used to ask me what's the answer, how do I say this during exam time. Please, come on. I already have difficulties in maths and etc. And I'm doing my subject. I'm doing a test in the subject that I do best, and you come asking me for answers which can make me get into problem with the teacher. To avoid responding, if the student is close to me, I would maybe leave my book so you can see, but don't talk to me. I'm not speaking, okay? You're not going to get me into problem because you want my answers, knowing that when it's my turn, who's giving me answers? Although I never really ask, but I barely ask. My name is, what I'm trying to say is that I just didn't want to get caught for any giving my answers or cheating that they would say everybody's cheating. Okay? So that's a wrap for today. Okay? Hope you like this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.